Dandara is essentially a top-down game that looks like a two-dimensional platformer. The main character, Dandara, can't move from side to side. She moves only by jumping across space to another surface. While this mechanic's unusual, it's not hard to master. If you've played reflex-intensive games before, then you're no stranger to attacking judiciously, while dodging generously. Dandara excels as a Metroidvania, and that genre places two important items on the table: exploration and the upgrades with which exploration rewards you. Whenever you enter a room, your map indicates every outgoing door, so you can always see where you haven't been. The game spaces out upgrades well, not only in terms of narrative progression, but also in terms of satisfaction. The upgrades are active, concrete powers, like fast traveling and flipping certain kinds of platforms. New abilities offer access to huge parts of the map that you otherwise wouldn't be able to explore, so you'll feel a strong sense of relief as you think about the doors another ability opens. Games about killing enemies profit from whatever diversity the enemies demonstrate. Many Metroidvanias accomplish this by having hundreds of enemies, and that's a great way to ensure enemy diversity. Dandara has approximately 20 distinct enemies, but each of them goes a long way. The odd movement mechanic is enough to make basic enemies much more dangerous. There are these jackal-looking people who can move across surfaces, and you can't do that. You have to find a place to jump before they ram into you. You can't leap indiscriminately onto any surface, so finding a safe place over the course of a millisecond isn't that easy. A lot of the enemies are complex for two-dimensional ones. There's this octopus thing with a Nazi helmet that pops out of the ground if it sees you. When it reaches the peak of its jump, it shoots two missiles both parallel to the ground and in opposite directions. You can trick it by having it jump into an opposite surface, and the spear on top of the Nazi helmet will stick the octopus thing to that opposite surface, rendering it helpless for a few seconds. For a Metroidvania enemy, that's an uncommon amount of detail. The octopus thing is one of many examples of behaviorally complex enemies in the game, all of whom resonate with the core combat mechanic of attacking and retreating to safety through a careful path of gravity-defying jumps. Bosses are rare, but they're good. They're microcosms of difficulty, in the sense that they start off easy so that you don't die immediately. Then they let you figure out their core behaviors and weaknesses. They don't become difficult until you know what they can do. Lots of boss battles, especially ones near the ends of Souls-like games, brutalize you within seconds before you can pick up on how the boss killed you. Clearly, the developers put a ton of effort into making a game that was neither too easy nor too hard. Meanwhile, a lot of games use bosses as an excuse to slaughter you monotonously, and AAA games reach such a wide audience that developers are afraid to make them too hard, lest they turn too many people off. So I definitely appreciate this perfect difficulty that helps the pacing without making everything too easy. Let's say you're playing this game and you've run into something that's too strong. If you level up a bit, obtaining more hearts and increasing the potency of your health potions, then whatever boss becomes infinitely easier. But you still need to put a lot of effort into leveling up. Leveling up hardly feels like a shortcut. It's a different, viable solution. Also, exploration rewards you with extra charges on your health and energy potions. With regard to health potions, you can carry up to 7 charges worth 7 hearts for a protagonist that has 20 hearts. That's pretty solid. The UI might look a little crazy, but the game is forgivably retro in terms of its visuals anyway. Also, the UI isn't crazy at the beginning of the game. It grows into a behemoth of symbols glacially. You won't notice how extensive it is unless a friend offers you a turn after playing for a few hours. I realize I've said that less UI is good, and it is if developers can help it, but it's definitely not of central importance. Lots of people say Souls-like casually. Every game that exhibits a modicum of difficulty is Souls-like, but Dandara is definitely Souls-like with regard to its narrative. The narrative's that kind of adventure game story to which you don't need to listen in order to understand what you have to do, but if you do pay attention, you end up with these abstract bits and pieces. Dandara is a Brazilian folk heroine. She was a real person. Dandara was an African-Brazilian warrior who defended the Quilombo dos Palmares, a haven for people who had escaped the African slave trade. Unfortunately, Portugal eventually captured her, and she committed suicide in 1694. Death was preferable to slavery. Fun stuff. I've never been to Brazil in my life, but the events of the game are clearly inspired by this real story. The game has English subtitles, but the street signs are in Portuguese. Brazilian developers made the game, so it offers potentially a genuine window into a real part of the world to which not everyone's been. Video games don't usually do that. There are these fantastic anti-gravity landscapes and temples that are abstract, but there are also these dictator-looking people in suits and patriotic hats. In the game, there are two factions, the faultless normal people who are going about their business, and the Eldar oppressors, trying to expand their massive palace of gold. The whole game's a Rage Against the Machine album. Anyway, Dandara is $15 on Steam. Beating the base game takes 6 hours, and you'll need to play for about another 2 in order to finish the Trials of Fear, which I think the developers added to the game after several updates. It's worth it. Put it on your bucket list, and with any luck, it'll stay there.